Howdy soldiers! Today's video we're doing something a little bit different. I had the opportunity to interview an upcoming author, Khan Wong, for his book, where'd it go? For his book, The Circus Infinite, which comes out March 8th. This is a queer found family sci-fi that takes place on a pleasure moon in a intergalactic circus where the main character has the ability to control gravity. And I'm saying all that now because I started the interview and then just totally blanked and didn't even describe what this was about. Ooh, that Canadian just really shone through there about. I literally have an entire shelf over there of space gays. I love my quantum queers, and you will find many in this book itself. Also, let's get a round of applause for this cover. It is freaking beautiful. Ooh, my ring light is really bringing out that shine. So without further ado, roll the interview clips.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's author talk. I have some space buns in my hair to celebrate the release of The Circus Infinite, which is a wonderful sci-fi queer extravaganza that is releasing March 8th. So please grab a tea, grab a snack, and welcome to today's author chat with author Khan Wong. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on your upcoming release.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I am an ex-theater kid, so anything with like circuses, I'm automatically gonna buy. Like, what drew you to writing sci-fi in particular?
Oh, well, I've been a big fan of sci-fi since I was a kid. It's always been my favorite genre to read. Well, one of my favorite genres to read, but definitely my favorite genre as far as like movies and TV and visual entertainment is concerned. And for a long time, I had tried writing like serious literary fiction, and just wasn't like it just felt lifeless and dead. Like I just wasn't feeling it,
Mhm.
and finally when I was like, I'm just gonna lean into the space fantasy and the escapism elements, and hope that some serious real life stuff comes up too.
Mhm.
That was like a freeing breakthrough moment. So
Okay. Yeah. Well, I love genre mashups, especially of like fantasy and sci-fi, and this definitely has a bit of a fantasy element to it with all the color and the pizzazz of the circus and all the colorful aliens and performers. Oh, actually, wow, I did a terrible job of this. I didn't even explain what this is about. Do you want to give like an elevator pitch for the Circus Infinite?
sure. Well, the elevator pitch is it is about a circus that takes down a crime boss on the galaxy's infamous pleasure ring.
Because you said that like you had originally started off with more like serious literary books. When you started to write sci-fi, were there things that surprised you of like, oh, this is really easy, or like, oh, actually, I have to do so much more research than I was expecting?
Like for the stuff since I don't write the kind of sci-fi that's reliant on like actual science, um, that I mean, there were some things that have to be researched, of course, but not to the extent that I would if I was extrapolating from existing technology or like actual physics or anything like that.
Mhm.
But the world building elements did take a lot more than I had anticipated, and it was I mean, and now I know better. I mean, so for any future projects, like I know going into it. But the first time I tried to do it, that first moment of like an alien character is talking about some element of their culture, and you realize, oh wait, there's no word for this. Oh wait, I have to make up a word for this.
Mhm.
And if I have to make up this word, then any other word has to like fit and it just kind of you know expands from there.
Was there a like portion or a space, no pun intended, or like a certain planet that you really wanted to develop more?
Yeah, not so much a specific world, but the overarching kind of government spiritual leadership body that rules the loosely the Alliance of Worlds. I want to say
Mhm.
Federation, but you can't really. It's so anyway. The Alliance of Worlds is called the Nine Star Congress of Conscious Worlds, and it's a society in which individuals on each of the member worlds have developed some form of psychic ability that results from interfacing with their planet's consciousness, and each of the planets are themselves sentient beings. I would have liked to have gone into more detail about how all of that works, but but it wasn't relevant. It wasn't plot relevant to the story in the Circus Infinite. So hopefully, if this book does well enough that I get a chance to write more in this universe, I'll be able to explore that in future books. But that element is probably the one that I wish could have had more space for.
I was just gonna say sequel material, like possibly. Well,
Hopefully,
so like
I
something.
have plans.
Exciting! Future undisclosed projects. A character I really loved in here is Kushonar, and that is when he's talking with our main character about how like he sees the weave in space and can like kind of see the future based on different choices that people are making. I found that so interesting, especially because he's kind of like a praying mantis
Yeah.
alien, which is I thought that was a very cool twist because there's a lot of humanoid aliens in this book, and to have one that even the other characters think of as alien is really interesting, especially when Koshonar is like such a smart kind of like otherworldly being that can see through like space time. So you obviously wanted to expand the world a lot more, or maybe like you brought in some very other alien characters. What were some kinds of things that didn't survive from the first draft, and like what did you change the most?
The biggest change was probably this character that was completely cut. So Nico Dax is the crime lord and the main antagonist in the book. And there was a character that was kind of his fixer and his right hand henchwoman. I came to realize after several drafts, and like my editor actually, we like got to the point of saying, okay, she needs to be more developed or she has to be cut. And I realized, as much as I liked the character and the dynamics between her and Jess, the protagonist, were really interesting. Like I realized she was pulling too much focus from the main bad guy. Also gave an opportunity for the circus friends to help with something. I don't want to spoil anything, but it opened up an opportunity for the circus friends to help with something that wasn't there the way it was before.
As somebody who loves reading found family books, and obviously the circus is a big found family, there's a lot of family dynamics even with like in between characters that are in the circus, like Esme and her parents, or Essa and Quint. So like what was your favorite family dynamic to write?
I think I'd have to say the triplets. They're not,
Yes, they're very entertaining.
The triplets' relationship with each other and also their relationship with Jess. And they're not like major players. They're definitely significant presences in the story, but they're not as big a characters as Bo and Esme are, for example. But it was really fun to write.
There's at one point, I think Jess says that they're all like, you can't quite tell them apart, but they're all really good at encouraging people to like break their own rules. And how he's like, oh, I don't really want to do the thing, but like they're all looking at me, so I guess I'll do it. And I'm like, yes, this is some good chaotic energy. So something that I wanted to bring up and talk about is that our main character Jess is Ace. And as we're recording this, actually, on Booktok, it has been labeled Arrow Ace Week, where we're talking about books with ace characters in them, which I think is an underrepresented part of the queer community, especially in fiction, where I look at my shelves behind me and 99% of these books have some kind of romantic subplot. So like, was it hard to write an ace main character because romance is so heavily expected?
So Jess is ace, but he's not Arrow. He's identifies as panromantic, and he does have a romantic relationship with Bo that develops.
I was like, everyone needs to read it. It's so cute.
And I wanted to, and a lot of this. I'm gray ace, so it's part of like my lived experience. It was important to me to write a relationship where one partner is ace, but the other is not. And to show how a loving and romantic relationship can be and function when the two people are different sexualities. But I never felt any pressure to insert a romantic relationship, and I certainly never felt any pressure to like spice it up. So yeah, my editors at Angry Robot, I mean, I feel really lucky because I know, I mean, this is my first rodeo, you know, it's my first book and everything. I don't have a lot of firsthand experience with the editorial process, but I've certainly heard enough horror stories from other writers, from other traditionally published writers, to know that, you know, I was very lucky with the team that I got. They didn't radically try to change my story or try to shoehorn anything in, and they seemed to really get what I was going for.
Well, it sounds like you have a great team behind you, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, super grateful.
So I know that whenever there's any kind of author interview, there's always a million questions on like what your writing process is and how did you get into writing? And I feel a lot of people say the same thing, which is like, I started writing this thing that I was thinking of. But what piece of writer advice did you hear from the masses that you took on or took in the most?
From the masses, I would say, or from the general community, I think the importance of editing and revision, and that truly is where the magic happens. You know, that first draft is really just you figuring out what the hell you're doing. and then once you have the thing, then you can kind of be more intentional and deliberate about what parts to jettison, what parts to hone in on and refine, and that's really where it happens. I had a writing professor in college. A piece of advice that he gave to me long, you know, I mean, like 30 years ago, has stuck with me all these years. And that was, he told me once that when you're experiencing writer's block or when you're blocked with your writing, it's actually some aspect of your life. And so the thing to do is less like barrel through the writer's block and just write something, and more like take a step back and look at how you're living your life and make changes that you need to make. And once you're in flow with all that, it just kind of goes.
Okay, well, maybe don't make as big a decision as like running across the galaxy to join a circus, or you know, maybe if that's what you need to do in your life, maybe you could go and try that out.
If I get that opportunity, I am so jumping on that.
Oh yeah, me too. Like why would I not? Honestly, I do have one very important question that I did not send you ahead of time to vet. So
okay,
please tell me what your favorite writing snack is.
I've been going for almonds, like roasted almonds.
Oh, nice. All right. Yeah.
So, and limeade.
The classic combination. All right. Well, I mean, that wraps this up. I'm almost done my tea. So thank you so much, Khan, for coming and chatting with me about the Circus Infinite. So like I said, this comes out March 8th. You can get your queer sci-fi fix over here. And would you like to plug anything? Where can people find you?
On March 1st, I'm doing a reading for the New York Review of Science Fiction, and that's a week ahead of the release on March 8th. The official release event is me in conversation with Raika Aoki, the author of Light from Uncommon Stars.
What a wonderful book. I can't wait to see the two of you chat about stuff.
I adore that book, and I'm so happy that she agreed to do this. So I'm really looking forward to that. So that's on the 15th, and that's being hosted by the Booksmith, which is a local independent bookseller here in San Francisco, where I live. So those are the highlights.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I will leave any links to things that I can find and all social medias down below so you can go check that out. Where can people go and buy your book?
I recommend getting the book from your favorite independent bookseller, but it is also available on from all the major online retailers. And if buying a book is not in your budget, consider asking your local library to get it for you.
Fantastic.
So there you have it. There is my interview with author Khan Wong. Thank you to Caroline and Angry Robot Books for helping set this up. As a reminder, I've left the link below to Khan's social media and all of the links for interviews that are upcoming. Also, please let me know if you want me to do a whole video on gays in space, because I sure would love a chance to talk about some of my favorite floaty fruits. And please leave me down below your favorite queer sci-fi, because I just keep finding new ones. which is wonderful for my soul and very bad for my bank account. See previous video I did on book consumption. You know where to click to like the video, you know where to click to subscribe. I hope you guys are having a nice day wherever you are, and I will see you all next week. Bye!